White Sox team can have a really decent season in a really bad division. That's what you guys have to remember. It's a really bad division.
It is.
That's
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
You have your scab-eating OC holding you back, calling two of the same screenplays in a row during one game, and having you throw two passes, which I was corrected by, one pass in the fourth quarter of a game you were the best player in. Fight me!
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. Bullshit.
a good organization would do. But this is the Bears, not a good organization. So they're going to keep Ryan Poles.
Why?
We just feel our disappointment. That's all.
Yeah, nothing wrong with
Difference
that.
between the Bears and the Bears.
Yeah, we do it. We do it when it's still warm outside.
Right, yeah.
We can get out like October, beginning November. Still like 50, 60 degrees. Nowadays, it's still like 70 degrees.
And that way, during the winter, we're still so angry that everything's warm. And welcome to Combs and Fitz Windy City Sports Talk. 200, baby! 200 damn episodes. 200 times. Brandon Combs and my guy, Ryan Fitzgibbons, have graced your computer screens, your phone screens, your television screens, and your hearts.
Your toilets.
We've made it.
200.
200
We made
times.
it somewhere.
We've covered a bunch of shit.
This is like the part in the movie The Jerk where Steve Martin sees his name in the phone book and thinks he's famous.
Yes. Or it's the part in any movie where the good guy realizes that he's just not going to win. So, you know,
yeah,
it's what it is. But welcome to Combs and Fitz. Yeah, man, it's awesome, dude. We're gonna talk Cubs today. We're gonna talk White Sox. We're gonna talk some Major League Baseball All-Star game. Probably get some Bears in there, and we got the return of Fitz Gibberish.
Woo!
But before we do that, we did want to go ahead and share with you guys a little montage that our production staff has put together regarding our 200 episodes. So I think without further ado, give me 1 second here while the production staff tries to figure this whole thing out.
Those guys are fired.
See, we worked on this before the show, and it worked, and now it's not working. Give me one.
What a loser! Boo for the Cubs.
Thank you, Eric.
It just worked like 2 minutes ago. Did it not? Is it just me?
Chicago lives up to its nickname, the Windy City. Winds of up to 90 miles an hour bring the less hardy to a standstill or use them like a Scotsman's curling stones.
Alley fight between Fitz and Combs. You both get to pick 3 all-time Sox and Cubs as part of your alley fight. My number 1 draft pick is Michael Barrett.
Michael Barrett, you're out of your mind.
Michael, but you see that right hook? Ask AJ Brzezinski if he wants to get hit with that right hook again.
You can ask AJ Brzezinski that.
I will.
That's such a podcast question.
The game has to market itself because guys like Rob Manfred, and we'll get to maybe Theo Epstein again, are doing exactly what casual fans want instead of what real fans want, or making a better product on the field and marketing it well. I mean, like Verlander said, like we're not responsible for marketing the league. You're still blacking out game. You just came around to putting highlights on social media. It took you like 8 years. I mean, basketball was doing it for years before baseball. The only American sport. Well,
there's got to be more quick routes to DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Let Rome Odunze be your deep guy, but let Keenan Allen, let DJ Moore, who are both great route runners, run the slants. Let them run the outs. Let them run the cross patterns.
They don't have to be the guys that are constantly going downfield. You can get the ball into DJ Moore's hands.
Second down and 6. Williams play fake. Now throws wide open. It's DJ Moore, the former Carolina Panther, is in for a Bears touchdown. 34 yards. Williams to Moore.
Finally connected last week against the Rams, and this is the matchup that everyone was looking for. J.C. Horn going against DJ Moore. He thought that he was going to pass off this receiver to somebody else instead.
Because he said,
All right.
he said one time in a rap, he said, 50-cent drink. He said, my mom always told me that everything that happens is a part of God's plan. That's why at night when I talk to him, I got my gun in my hand. Right? And when you think about that, you're like, huh.
Yeah.
You know, like, if everything's a part of God's plan, and that's when I changed, because I went to a Catholic school from kindergarten to 8th grade. And my mom, like I said, is a devout Catholic. She
Yeah.
goes to church
Yeah, my mom is too.
And I just, there was a certain point when I was in the Marine Corps and after 9/11 and all the things that had happened, I just started thinking about it. And I'm like, you know, if all of this is a part of God's plan, I'm not so sure I want to be a part of it.
Jerry owns 2 teams in this town who recently went 81-81, the Chicago White Sox, and 40-42, the Chicago Bulls. Weird.
Dangling that carrot.
Yep. He never quite gets the best player, even though he got lucky with the 3rd player in the draft in 1984, Michael Jordan. Oh, we just missed out on Machado and Harper. Yeah, right. Sell the damn team if a championship is not your top priority. You never had any intention on signing either of them. He has said he doesn't remember saying this to Sampson. When you watch a movie like Saving Private Ryan, you got Tom Hanks in the movie. I think he's in his 40s when he does that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the guys are in their 30s or 40s who are acting in that movie. And there's nobody were in their 30s or 40s storming the beaches of Normandy. At least not many were that weren't,
right.
Generals or colonels or whatever you want to call it. A lot of them were young, or in their 20s or even their teens. And just think of like all the people, especially in that movie. When I see that opening scene, it's my favorite war movie.
I sat in the press box for the White Sox against the Kansas City Royals, and I did it again today. And sitting there and interviewing and talking with Will Venable and doing all this stuff, it just, man, like where my life was and where I wanted it to go took 2 different paths. When you are talking about, Jed needs to spend more money, and you're talking about the Dodgers, and I know people don't want to hear, because I don't believe. Look,
I exceeded the threshold by $2.85 million last year, but that's
okay.
So I don't believe that the Cubs need to spend a ton more money. I think that Jed needs to spend it in the right places. When you're looking at the Dodgers and when you hear Jed saying, "Oh, we're just trying to break even," look, Ricketts sounds stupid when he says, "Oh, we're trying to break even every year," because nobody believes you.
A lot of people don't know that because they don't care. All they see is the news.
There's no nuanced conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll talk a little bit about Twitter later, but there's no nuanced conversations anymore. I mean, why even listen to that?
Right.
But do I like that he's kneeling during the national anthem? I love America. No, I don't like it. But there's a lot of fucking things I don't like. I don't like The View either.
You and me would not kneel for the national anthem, right?
I don't like Oprah talking about her for JJ, but I don't want her to fucking cancel her for it. But anyway.
But we would both stand. But my stance on that has always been, I fought for his right to protest as much as I fought for my right to stand. Cohen, the voice of the Iowa Cubs, award-winning voice of the Iowa Cubs, Alex Cohen.
Ballpark Digest, broadcaster of the year.
Yeah,
that is prestigious. Pretty cool.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, that doesn't get old. It's quite an honor. It's something that I worked really hard for, and for the people who voted and the people who have followed along, I sincerely appreciate it.
You ready to get into Fitz Gibberish?
Hell yeah! Hello, my friends. It is a diatribe, a conspiracy theory, and an island in the middle of unapologetic, and actually today pretty accurate, but sometimes inaccurate sports talk. Yes, people. The NFL is basketball with traveling volume 2.
Oh, God.
You know it's an American sequel when nobody was asking for it. Nobody. Tinfoil hat. We have posited on this show that the NFL's product is sloppy this year. Sloppy. Like Tiger Woods' nightlife in the early 2000s. Hey, Tiger.
So there we go.
God.
200 episodes, and why are we not on the screen? There we go. Oh, no.
Some of that made me a little sweaty. Some of that made me laugh. Some of that went, how many places have I done the show from? I feel like I'm like on the toilet in one of those. I remember the echoey night of me and you talking about religion for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
probably 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 sheets to the wind at that point.
We've gone a lot of different places. We've gone a lot of different places over 200 episodes, man. But it's been fun, man. The entire road, the entire, when I was looking back and putting that video together, man, there was just so much more. I wish I had like a week to work out. We were talking about this before the show. Had I had a week to put something together, dude, it would probably, we could have just done an episode of our greatest hits. We could have just had an hour and a half of our greatest hits on an episode, and there's so much more there, man. But it's a big thanks to people like Michelle, who's been nothing but supportive of me through this whole journey. But then for our listeners too, man, like for Jeremiah Murray and Megan TV and Doubting Thomas and Brandon Jr. and all the countless others who have joined us throughout the course of these episodes, man. It's been fun, man. It's been a lot of fun, and it's no big no big, I should say no big no big chore for you guys to sit down and watch us every single week, and you guys have done just that. And we appreciate all of you guys for everything that you've done, being here, commenting every week, even if you're in your bathtub with candles, Jeremiah, and even if Doubting Thomas had just left your bathroom and you're still a little sore. We appreciate every comment. we appreciate everybody's help along this path. And look, man, we're still going and we're still growing. So 200, here's to 200 more.
Hell yeah. Best is yet to come.
Absolutely. So yeah, man, let's get on with it. Let's enough of the looking back, and now let's look forward, right? Let's look forward to
it hasn't been easy.
I mean, she's always daydreaming of me in a thong, so.
Oh my God.
It's just, I mean.
Let's stop.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so what's going to happen is eventually when I do that lawn mowing in the thong, I'm going to sign it and send it to her. And then she's going to be happy. And then she's, never mind. I was going to say she was going to wear it, but that's a little too far. For those that don't know and are listening for the first time, Megan TV is Ryan Fitzgibbon's sister.
Okay.
So,
Can we move on, please?
Let's move on. Look, do you want to go? Where do you want to go first? You want to go Sox or you want to go Cubs?
Oh, why don't we go Sox? We had a Sox player die the other day. We, I did a Fitz gibberish on not too long ago on my birthday. We're both the same age as this Sox player. Doubting Thomas, I have a 45-minute montage of Combs jerking off Justin Fields. You're going to see a lot of them on the Jets this year. Jets football. Here we go. The next Joe Namath.
Jets, Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we lose Bobby Jenks yesterday. Well, actually a couple days ago. But it was brought to everybody's attention yesterday that Bobby had passed away on the 4th of July. He was battling a rare stomach cancer. And it was weird, right? Because on Wednesday I was at the station and Danny Parkins was in host as a guest. And for those that don't, Danny Parkins left 670 The Score to go work for Fox Sports and do a TV thing instead of radio. But he's coming back on July 31st just to do the annual radiothon for Cure for Cancer. And he had announced that on that Cure for Cancer, the big guest was actually going to be Bobby Jenks. And then we got the news yesterday that Bobby had passed away, man. It's just so sad. I mean, not only, look, cancer sucks, man. I mean, just plain and simple.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck cancer. It sucks. It's a terrible disease. It's taken way too many lives of people close to me and people not close to me. It's a brutal disease. And hopefully at some point the cure for it comes out. And you lose Bobby, who's the same age as me, man. It really puts life into perspective, right? Like you're like, damn, like we were born in the same damn year. I believe his birthday was like two or 3 weeks before mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it's incredible to think of somebody like that. And I mean, look, the guy was phenomenal. A great closer, won the 2005 World Series with the White Sox. Everybody remembers Ozzie Guillen coming out and calling for him and going like this, and
if you're Bobby Jenks, here's what your manager thinks of you. Give me this guy, big guy.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the thoughts and prayers are with Bobby's family. I know he has some young children, his wife and all that. He was, I believe he was in Portugal. I'm not sure if he was getting medical attention there, trying to look for alternative medicine. But I know that his health was so bad that he couldn't travel back to be home. He was manager of the Windy City Thunderbolts as well. So, just it's tough, man. Your thoughts on Bobby Jenks?
Yeah, I mean, just the way, I said a lot of it on the Fitz gibberish I did a couple of months ago. I'll repost it too. Just came on a really nowhere 5th round pick. I mean, kind of strange to say that when the guy was clocked at 102 miles an hour when he made it into the league with the Sox. Yeah. And no one threw that back then. No one threw that in 2005. And yeah, 2005 was his rookie season, and he threw the last pitch of the 05 season. 2-2 pitch to Paul Merrill. Ended the season that season with a guy on second base too and a 1-0 lead. It wasn't like the game was out of reach for a pretty good Houston Astros team back then. They're good again, fuckers. But anyway, I had a great curveball too.
Yeah,
12-6 curveball, was just unheard of back then. And the way it was almost a 2-seamer that he had on his 4-seam fastball, because it moved away from left-handed hitters into right-handed hitters, which is like what you want. I had a 41 inning. Yeah, I think it was 41 inning scoreless streak as a closer, which is ridiculous because you only get, you're only going out there 3 outs at a time, maybe 6 outs. But came out of nowhere in 05. Wasn't a closer for anybody. had a lot of trouble with the bottle before then. Got kicked off a bus, and I got kicked off of the Anaheim Angels team.
Yeah.
And ends up on the Sox a couple years later and wins a World Series, plays 5 years for the Sox and a couple years for Boston, got hurt a couple times and got out of the league quicker than you would have thought. It's still only 30, 31 when he was out of the league, maybe 32. Great player. A story that only happens in baseball.
Yeah.
You don't really get that in a lot of other sports where a guy just figures it out and boom, he's that good. And then that good for a while. That's even a rare story in baseball, because that happens in baseball where a guy's good for half a season, plays good in a postseason. You never hear about him again, or he's the Cubs coach, manager.
Yeah. Yeah. And you should repost that, because that was a beautiful tribute that you had for Bobby, and that whole Fitz gibberish was probably one of my favorites. And so, yeah, I mean, definitely, I would definitely repost that and share that. We share that out for everybody to see again. But yeah, man, just a tough time, and at a time where like Sox fans can start to really start to get, I don't want to say happy or excited about their team, but you can be happy about seeing what the future holds for the team, right? Because they call up Colson Montgomery.
Finally.
You're seeing a lot of these young players succeed. Colson Montgomery has a fantastic defensive play on Friday. Has his first hit yesterday, which I believe was a triple. And so you have all of these things to look forward to, plus the celebration of the 2025 World Series team, in which Bobby Jenks wasn't going to be a part of anyway, because he couldn't travel down here. But I mean, you still are celebrating that team, and now it doesn't become a moot point, but it just becomes a little bit more somber, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a little bit more, you feel for the man, and you feel for his family. I know he had his demons, and he paid for them exponentially. And so, it's tough. It's tough.
Yep.
But,
yeah,
easy way to transition from this, but we move on, and we look forward to what the White Sox are now. And that is a team that's battling. I mean, you taken 2 straight from the Rockies, looking to sweep today. Right now, down 1-0, as Moniak just hit a solo home run to take the lead. But
the Rockies real bad. That might be the Rockies' first lead of the series so far.
They still do not have 20 wins.
No, they just have 20. They have 20.
Oh, do they? I thought they were at 19.
They're 20 and 67 or 68.
Okay. Yeah.
20 and 69. 69 dudes.
Yeah.
20 and 69. But yeah, having Colson Montgomery up, he's a guy I've been waiting for a while now. I thought he might have a September call up last season because he played really well in the minors. You thought he'd come up in this season, had a short injury in spring training, and then just didn't hit well. Went back down Arizona, now hitting better, more of a selective hitter now. Let's hopefully that stays. It looks like there's some holes in his swing. Every left-handed hitter has holes in his swing, unless you're like Babe Ruth or Ted Williams.
Yeah.
Go look at Bryce Harper's swing. He's got a bunch of holes in there. Or, obviously Barry Bonds. When Barry Bonds, got on steroids. But anyway, could be a great player, man. I don't know if he stays at short. I got to see him more defensively in the field to say if he stays at short. Looks like he can do it. I mean, he had a pretty difficult double play in yesterday's game that looks like he can turn it, but who knows? I have to see more plays in the hole towards third base to his run. You're left looking at the screen just to see if he can make those plays. I mean, those real athletic plays. How many balls can he get to? What kind of span is he reaching? When you're looking at shortstops, you want them to get to 400 or 500 balls a season. I know that sounds crazy, but you do. I remember Jeter won a Gold Glove. He got to like 290 balls. He was way later. And Alexi Ramirez, who I thought should have probably won that year, the Gold Glove. It's one of the better shortstop seasons I've seen a shortstop have. And Alexi had gotten to like 550 balls, like just the range I want to see out of a player like him. But I mean, if you have him and Chase Mydroth, who's gone up and down, is what you're going to see with a player, and Miguel Vargas, who's gone up and down, but looks like might be a third baseman.
Yeah.
And, it's not hard to find a first baseman. You might have an infield, and you definitely have a catch. You definitely have probably 2 catchers. They're still shitty.
Yeah, and they are. But look, you look at it now, and you look at where they're at now, but you look at where they were at last year. This point last year, they were 26-65, 6 games better than what the Rockies are this year. And right now, the White Sox are, what is that, 10 games better than what they were last year?
Nah, they're 30 and 59, 5-6 games
Okay, so
better.
5 games better than what they were last year. So
getting better.
If you were if I told you before the season that they were going to be about a 5 to 10 win better team than they were last year, I mean, it's not, you're not happy about it, but you would take it, right?
I think they'll be better than that by the end of they're a way better team now than they were in the beginning of the season. It's hard. They are going to get worse because there is going to be trades. Adrian Hauser is probably going to be traded. The guy they picked up from Texas, who just pitched 8 innings the other day. He's probably going to be traded. Benintendi, I would think, would be traded. I don't know how much worse that makes him.
But see, if you're looking at trades right now for the White Sox, right? Like, is there really a team that wants that Benintendi contract? You know what I mean? Like, I was looking at the same thing with Luis Robert, right?
You're going to pay.
Yeah, but the Luis Robert was like, it was a nice friendly deal, except for the final 2 years, which are $20 million a year for the next 2 years.
It's a club option. It's a club option next year, so you don't have to take it. You don't have to take him next year.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm 100%
sure.
He had 2 club options. Yeah, 2 years of club options. I remember when he signed it, and I refreshed my memory recently of it. But
okay. So I
don't have to wish him. Buck is watching the show. Someone woke up Buck. It's wishing he was in Miami.
Okay, yeah, $2 million buyout for each.
Over 90. It's been over 90 degrees, Buck, for like a week, and the only day we had a respite, it was like 88 degrees. So I feel like and I'm celebrating our 200th episode. So
that's fair. That's fair.
I thought I'd wear my Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. But when you're looking at Luis Robert, you're right. It's a $2 million buyout for each year. So they could buy him out for $4 million and pay him $4 million to go play somewhere else, as opposed to $20 million. Because I'm not. I mean, I don't know. That's where I'm like, I don't know if they do make any moves at the trade deadline, because I don't know who's taking on Luis Robert. Maybe the Reds, maybe a team who's slightly out of it but wants to give their fans reason to come to the ballpark for the rest of the year. You know what I mean?
One might, even if it really hurts the Sox. You just weren't going to get rid of him when he hit almost 40 home runs in 23. With 4 years left on his contract, you weren't going to get rid of him then. It just didn't make it. It didn't make any sense. Would you have gotten a haul? Yeah, you would have, but no one was going to make that trade. Then no team was going to make a trade when you have 4 years left on a guy's contract. You're just not going to do that. Tell me on the 200 show who was right about Luis Robert.
Who was right?
You're right. Yeah, he was right.
Who was right?
He was right.
Who?
This was right.
Doubting Thomas was right.
I didn't. Did I say that? He was right.
I think you have to at this point, right? Like, it's just it's sad because he does have the potential to be an all-star type player. He does have that ability in him. I just don't think he wants to play. I don't think he cares.
I don't think he cares about playing. I forgot who was on. Frazier, the guy who used to play for the Yankees. Forget his first name. Played for the Sox for a little while. Clint Frazier played for the Sox a little while. I should have got the clip. He was on Foul Ball, AJ Przinsky's show. And he said players just did not want to play. He said there was guys who looked like they would have season-ending injuries, and then they'd be back in the lineup like 4 or 5 games later. And we know who those guys were.
Yeah.
Moncada, Eloy, and Luis Robert. I just didn't think he was that kind of player. Just because he had some good years, it seems like he wanted to work back from injury. It seems like he liked being out there, but maybe he's getting lumped into that too. And his injuries were serious injuries,
right?
But looks like at this point I was wrong on a long enough timeline. I think you're going to be wrong about every single player because they're gonna suck. Back in 2023, Doubting Thomas, I don't think you were saying he sucked when he was 30, when he had 38 home runs, but okay.
Buck says the Vegas A's should make a splash like that. He would make sense for that team just because they could use somebody with some potential that they wouldn't have to pay $20 million a year. So they should take that trade and then try to work a 2-year like $10 million deal for him or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? $5 million a year would be about right for Luis Robert right now, and hope that he pans out and then you give him an extension. But you're looking at thank you very much, Marco. Appreciate you.
Reds. Yeah, Reds makes sense.
I mean, but the A's, I mean, they've got Denzel Clark in center field. They've got Soderstrom, who's been tearing it up in left field, and they've got Lawrence Butler, who's going to be a perennial All-Star in right field. I just don't know that he makes so much sense for them, and he's not going to go there in DH because that's where Brent Rooker's at. So I don't know that the A's make sense. The Reds maybe, right? Because again, a team that is not mathematically out of it, but probably needs some sort of spark to crawl back in, and is going to need the Cubs to lay an egg, which look over the last 2 seasons,
wild card.
possible. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's
wild card's still open. Yeah, I guess the Giants do have a pretty stacked outfield. That wouldn't make much sense. Yastrzemski, Jung Ho, Lee.
Your brother.
I thought this was ending. He just stumbled upon it while he was watching porn on his phone.
Probably.
He just stumbles upon our show. Wait. What kind of porn are you watching if you stumble upon our show? Like,
you don't want to know. You don't want to know.
Stroke. I just have a stroke. We just lost the viewer. That had to be him. He just jumped in to say I thought this was ending. He jumped off.
Oh God. But no, it's one of those where you look at some of these teams that are slightly out of it. If you look at the standings right now, I mean the Reds would make sense. Like you said, the Giants sort of makes sense.
Padres? Padres?
No, not so much.
And that might do that though.
I mean, where would they? Where would he?
Padres like guys who don't like to play baseball who get hurt all the time. That seems like a team that gets behind guys like that.
I mean, does he take over for Gavin Sheets in left field, or is he the DH?
Somebody take over for Gavin Sheets. That thing's gonna fall apart soon.
I mean, Gavin Sheets he hasn't had a terrible season. I mean, he's only batting, I think, like 240 something, 250 something.
I doubt he's batting even that well.
He's batting 264. He's batting 264 with 13 home runs and 49 RBIs. He's got a 775 OPS.
Yeah, you're gonna get, what is that, in 60 games? I would say. I doubt he's playing every game. No, he played 80 games.
Yeah.
He'll give you a good half a season. He's played a couple of good
You just keep trying to find reasons to say that he's going to be
Talk about a left-handed hitter with a lot of holes in his swing. I mean, I just don't think that that's sustainable, but maybe it is.
I mean, maybe.
Robert is a West Coast player for sure.
That
sounds about right. If I ever saw a West Coast baseball player, that's one.
Well, I mean, how about Seattle?
Yeah, that's a team.
He could be the DH over in Seattle. I could see that happening.
And filling at the outfield spots, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
he can run for you. I mean, he was leading the league in stolen bases at some point, which a guy with a 190 batting average doesn't happen all day. This is probably too long to be talking about Luis Robert, but I'm sure teams are having these discussions. They definitely are. Teams are saying, like, but at this point, when you have this many young players playing pretty well for the Sox, are you gonna think this is like the last regime anymore with the Sox and think like, oh yeah, Robert isn't doing it because this organization doesn't know how to develop talent? Well, what's happening with these other players?
Yeah.
You know, I like at this point, there are starting to build a track record that they're starting to be able to develop some kind of talent. How long is that going to last? I don't know, but it seems like he's the odd man out. Like he's the last one of that crew of just a team where everybody was talking about them as the most exciting team in baseball or top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Laid an incredible egg. It was almost like an NFL team where everybody gets hurt and then just never plays well again, which happens in the NFL. I don't know. I have too much respect for that organization to trade for Luis Robert.
Here's the thing with Luis Robert.
And that overpays for guys. I need an organization that likes to make that splash like you were talking about. Doesn't really want to spend money, but wants to look like they're going to spend money. And
let me make a case for him for Tampa Bay here. Luis Robert is a preseason All-Star. And the Rays play in a minor league ballpark inside of a spring training ballpark. Just saying, maybe they trick him into thinking that it's spring training the whole time.
Yeah. You got to trick him into something.
I
don't know. Take the money he fleeced away from the Sox for at least half of his career.
Yeah.
Away from him, maybe. Make him poor again. Send him back to Cuba.
I wouldn't say he fleeced him. I think the White Sox fleeced himself by giving him a contract that he didn't need to get. Send
him back to Cuba for a year. Have him be poor down there and driving one of those cars made in 1957. Bring his ass back.
And the thoughts of Ryan Fitzgibbons are solely the thoughts of Ryan Fitzgibbons. They do not reflect those of his co-host or any of the production staff.
Luis Robert is a spring training MVP. Yeah. Oh man, I remember when he hit that ball. I think it was against Brad Keller too, in Kansas City in 2021.
Yeah.
They said it went 470 feet. Dude, this ball like hit a door up in Kansas City Stadium. Like I was like, this guy's gonna be fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
The year before he won the Gold Glove.
And that was the last good thing that you could remember about
Windy City rationalization sports talk or relitigation. Relitigation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're in
but the White Sox, the White Sox are looking for a sweep today. I don't know that they're going to get it. I mean, Colorado's hitting the shit out of Shane Smith right now. They got
what happened to Shane Smith? What did you do to Shane Smith?
I have no clue, but they've got runners on first and third. Right now they're up 1-0.
I doubt they'll score a run. They're that bad.
They're 1 out, first and third. I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't say it's not possible, but to round out the rest of this week, though, after Colorado, the White Sox have Toronto, who find themselves 3 games up in the American League.
Unbelievable.
3 games up on the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. And
what would they have done if Shohei took that plane ride there? What could they be doing now?
And then you get the Guardians after that, which should be interesting. But yeah, win this game. You beat the teams that you should beat, regardless of how bad you are. You should still beat the teams that you should beat.
You're not getting their pick in the draft.
No,
you're not going to be worse than Colorado. You got 10 games up on Colorado right now. The standings not going to happen.
Yeah,
he's getting the second pick. I think third or fourth. I think Noah Schultz is going to come up when they trade some of these other pitchers. I think they're going to play better ball. I think they'll win 60 games this year. I had them at 51. But let's move on to the Cubs. A lot more interesting things happening over there.
Yeah, a lot more interesting things. You look at they took care of business against the Guardians with a sweep there, and then went out and hit 8 home runs the next day against the St. Louis Cardinals, and then lost yesterday. A game that, quite frankly, probably should have won. You stole the game and then had some questions there, which we'll get into here in just a minute. But it's the Cubs are pretty much about where we thought they'd be at this point. Would you say?
I didn't think they would be this far. I forgot where I had them at, but it was over 90 games. You didn't even have them win in the division.
No,
which, you know what, could still happen. It's still, I mean, there's still an entire NBA season to go.
Cubs had a 94% chance 2 years ago in September.
Yeah, I remember that. There's still a whole NBA season to go. This looks like the team in this division, though. None of these teams look good enough. Since he still might be a year away, which they seem like they're always a year away. But playing better, the Cubs, had that lull that is going to happen. And then, you know what? It's probably going to happen a couple more times. Just because I don't think, and even though their hitting hasn't been exactly consistent lately, I just don't think they have the innings right now. That's why I think they are going to make a big splash at the trade deadline with a starter and a bullpen guy. I don't want to totally get into that discussion again because we always get locked in it for like fucking 45 minutes. But I mean, this lineup is so good. This is a champion. They do have, I think, and I never thought I would say this, I think they have a championship lineup. I think Pete Crow Armstrong in the second half. Look, I'm not saying this because I'm not a Cubs fan. He's going to take a step back. The guy is not going to hit 50-something home runs. And obviously, he's not even on pace to do that anymore. But that's just, it was never going to happen that way. You're always going to go to where your averages sort of are, but he's a much better player, a much better hitter, especially in this lineup, too, with all this protection now.
Yeah.
We can nip at the edges and say that, maybe Matt Shaw isn't a major league player yet, but he's even playing a little bit better. I think this lineup could win a championship. Is the only place that I kind of go, and why Justin Turner is still on the team, I really don't know either.
I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question other than Craig Counsell and Jed Hoyer. But you look at this team and you look at Craig Counsell, right? And I want to take yesterday's game, for example, right? Or you could even go to the game where they hit 8 home runs. They hit 8 home runs. And then I fully expected that Michael Busch was going to be left out of the lineup yesterday. And Craig Counsell surprises me. And he puts Busch in against a lefty. And Busch goes, 2 for 4 with a home run he went 3 for 4. With a home run and a double and a single. He was a triple shy of the cycle against a lefty. And, PCA on Friday makes that tremendous catch out in center field. Defensively, the kid he might be the best center fielder in baseball right now. And offensively, he comes back, he hits a home run, hits 2 home runs that day, and looks like the MVP candidate that he is. He's gone from, in the betting world, he started out the year at 75-1 odds to win MVP. Then at the end of May, he was 50-1. and now he's down to 5-1 to win MVP. Like he keeps going with his stock. This kid is incredible, and he is that guy. I agree with you. He's not going to hit 40, 50 home runs, but you don't need him to hit 40 or 50 home runs. You need him to continue to hit for average. You need him to get on base. You need him to wreak havoc on the bases. You need him to do his job. They need to get Dansby Swanson out of the 5-hole, which I believe they did today. It looked like the lineup just came out a little bit ago. It looks like Michael Busch is batting 5th, which is where he should be batting. And Dansby Swanson should be hitting 7th or 8th, if you ask me.
Michael Busch has a 939 OPS.
Yeah,
he's Swanson 7th. Dansby Swanson 735. I still think the best hitter on your team is Kyle Tucker, but it's just a balanced lineup, man. I mean, you just have a lot of good left-handed hitters. I'm not going to say they're the Philadelphia Phillies yet, but they're Philadelphia Phillies light from the left side. When Bryce Harper's going good on that Phillies team, that's like
that's the thing too. Like
hell.
You got to look at Craig Counsell, and Craig Counsell has to do his $8 million a year job, right? Like Craig Counsell has to do what he was paid so much money to do. And yesterday, I get people coming back at me on Twitter because I tweet out, why isn't somebody up when you're looking at Brad Keller, who was. He wasn't himself yesterday. He's been really good all year, but he just wasn't on yesterday. And after he runs into Carson Kelly and they allow runners on first and second, there was still nobody up in the bullpen. And why Porter Hodge or anybody else wasn't available in that moment to be like, all right, hey, good out of the 1 out, runners on first and second. We're gonna go to somebody else here because you just don't have it today. Which no trouble in doing that. But this is something that Craig Counsell does quite a bit, where a guy is getting in trouble and you can sense it, and there's nobody up in the bullpen getting ready to take his spot. And that concerns me. The way that Craig Counsell handles a pitching staff really concerns me about this team moving forward. Even if they go and get 1 or 2 frontline starters, it still troubles me that once we get to the back end of things, and if Brad Keller is struggling and Porter Hodge isn't ready, or if Porter Hodge isn't available that day, how are they going to run the bullpen? Palencia had thrown 2 days in a row. He probably wasn't available anyway. But you've got to go out and you've got to be able to make those decisions and make them the right way. It was the same way that we used to talk about with the Bears and their coaching staff. You have to know when to call a timeout. You have to know what hash mark your kicker wants to be on. It's the same thing with baseball. You have to sense when your guy does not have it that day. And you have a chance to really put the Cardinals away. You came back, you were down 3-0 in that game. You came back, you had a 5-3 lead in the 8th inning, and you give up 5 runs because you leave Brad Keller in too long. Like, you have a chance to put this team, if you win yesterday and then you complete the sweep today, you're 9.5 games up on the Cardinals. And instead you give them life. You know what I mean? And so for me, that's why I'm like, those are the things about Craig Counsell that bothers me. Lineup construction for 1, and 2, how he handles his pitching staff. They've got to do some things a little bit better. They can hit. They are a very good hitting team. I agree with you. The best hitter on this team is Kyle Tucker, but there are so many other good hitters on this team. Nico Horner is a great hitter. Nico Horner, with runners in scoring position, I believe is batting well over 400 this year, while Dansby Swanson with runners in scoring position is batting 145. And he's hitting 5th.
Hashtag Trevor Bauer to the Cubs. I don't know why the guy isn't in the league anyway. I don't know why that just doesn't make any sense.
I like Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer should be in the league. I don't know that he helps the Cubs because Trevor Bauer can be a good pitcher in this league, but he's a 4 or a 5. He's not a 1 or a 2. I mean, he's got a 4.13 ERA over in Japan.
He wasn't a 4 or 5 when he got out of the league. I mean, I'd have to see what he has. Why did Chris Bryant take a step back until the fastball hit him in the head? Marco, no, he didn't. But we're not. Please don't compare Chris Bryant to Pico Armstrong. I mean, the guy was hitting 40-something home runs a year in the minors. Pico Armstrong. I mean, I don't even have to look at his stats, but I have his minor league stats before. I don't think he ever hit 20 home runs more in a season in minors.
Yeah.
He's not going to come out and hit 50 home runs a season. Like, come on. Like, take the Cubs jersey off, put the beard down, Marco.
You could. He doesn't have to take a step back, though. I mean, he could take it. He's going to take a step back power wise because he's not going to put up these same power numbers. But his on base percentage could stay up. He can still.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that.
Power wise,
he's not going to. Yes, and that's what we're always looking at is slugging, and that's he slugged 680 last year. Like it's not just going to all of a sudden slug 1200 every year. It just doesn't happen in baseball. It just doesn't.
I think
he's
you're right
going
on
to be an incredible player. Could he still win an MVP? Yes, and yes. But he's not going to be the best hitter on your team. He might not even be the second, or he might not even be the third best hitter on your team. I mean, you have some good hitters on your team.
Should he be the favorite for MVP over Shohei Ohtani if things continue this? Let's say he continues on the trend. Let's say he only hits 35 home runs, which is 12 home runs the rest of the year. He hits 35 home runs, and everything else stays the same. Like his RBIs, his on base percentage, his OPS, everything still stays the same. Should he be the MVP over Ohtani, who DH and right now he's back to pitching 1 or 2 innings an outing?
I mean, at some point, Ohtani, at some point, he's just going to be like Mike Trout was, where you just can't vote him in every year. I'd say Pete Armstrong is definitely the popular vote.
At least Mike Trout didn't play on one of those rosters like Ohtani's playing on now, though. Like do you agree with me that you have to take some of that into account?
On the same roster as Mike Trout for like 6 years.
Right. No, I understand that, but I'm saying like right now he's on $1 billion roster.
He is.
Like, do you take that into account at all when thinking about this?
Yeah, that all comes in to the calculus. But the guy is,
he's great.
And he's even pitching really well too now.
Yeah.
I mean, he starts a couple games, or if he's closing games for him, it's very hard to have a guy who's a closer, who's a left-handed hitter who is going to probably hit 50 home runs. To say that, I don't even know. I don't even know how to do that calculus because no one's done it since Babe Ruth was playing. So I don't know. I'm really out of my depth there. I would say the player I would want more is Ohtani. If I had to pick between players, I would definitely want him more. In one season, does that make one guy an MVP or not? That's why I don't do the voting. So it's very hard for me to say. If Pico Armstrong hits 40 home runs, which is not, 35 maybe, since he started out so hot, and he's got a slugging that's 850 to 950. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in the conversation. Right now, his slugging's at 860, and it's going down. His slugging, his OPS is 860, and it's going down. I mean, it depends where things, if it stays kind of where we are, yeah, I think he probably deserves it over him. I think he's the popular vote. I think he's not on a team that isn't $1 billion team. He's on a team that is, in my mind, pretty fucking cheap.
And he plays a defensive position at a Gold Glove level.
I think the Cubs are definitely, to me, if they would have spent a little bit more money, they're my pick to win the World Series this year in the National League, but they did not do that in the offseason.
Well, no, but they might do that here at the trade deadline.
They can't spend money at the trade deadline.
But even right now, you can. Absolutely, you can. What are you talking about? You trade for a guy who's still got money on his deal.
Oh, yeah. I get
money. But what I'm saying is you go out and you get the pieces that you need. I think right now it's presently constituted. If you were to head into a 7-game series against any other team in the National League, the Cubs, they're not the favorite against the Dodgers. They're not the favorite probably against the Mets. And maybe not even the Phillies. But I would bet each one of those series to go 6 or 7.
To me, the Phillies have better pitching. All those teams have better pitching than the Cubs do. When it comes to starting pitching, that's when it matters, is in October.
I agree.
Yeah.
I just think that the Cubs lineup, though, I mean, they do hit good pitching. The where they struggle is they don't hit good left-handed pitching. That's their big struggle.
Correct. I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, because they can hit. I mean, their pitching staff, look, I'm not going to tell you that I would put Shota up against any other number one in the baseball because I'd be lying to you. I don't think Shota's a number one. I think the Cubs need to go get a number one, whether that's whether it's Sandy Alcantara, whether it's Chris Sale, whether it's any of these other names. There's rumor about Mitch Keller from the Pirates. There's a lot of different routes that the Cubs could go here. What I did like hearing this week, and I don't know if you heard this, but Jed comes out and says, I have been given the resources that I need to go do whatever I need to do at the trade deadline.
Good.
So that's good to hear, but now I want to see you do it, Jed, because that's the one thing that I've struggled with Jed Hoyer on, is I've struggled to see him go in. Like, I've seen money be spent in his tenure here as a Chicago Cubs GM and president of baseball operations now. I've seen him I've seen the money spent. I just haven't seen it spent wisely, and I haven't seen the proper moves made. There are things you could do that would put this out there. I've tossed out quite a few trades on different platforms, and I've had some guys who are baseball guys who are like, that's actually really good, and that's a scenario that could possibly happen. If he goes and does these things, you go and get 2 frontline starters, which you have the capability of doing, you would have to deplete the top end of your prospects in your minor league system. But I'm willing to do that for a World Series. So I need to see it happen. It's great you have the resources and you've been given the go-ahead to go ahead and do whatever you need to do. Now go and do it. If that means Eugenio Suarez is playing third base and Matt Shaw's going back down to AAA, and if that means that, Ben Brown stays in AAA and they have to send Colin Ray or DFA Colin Ray because you're bringing in 2 frontline starters, so be it.
Now is the time to win. Now is the time to win. You have a winning team in front of you right now. You're going to probably make a decision where you're going to lose more than you want to, where, Cubs are going to be MFing you next year. You're not going to be the smartest. You're not going to look like the smartest guy in the room, Jed. Sorry. Yeah. But you might get that piece that wins you the World Series or gets you at least close enough to do that, to really get, I'd be scared if I didn't have another starting pitcher going into the playoffs that I felt good about.
And I think they will.
It's a guy who's a really good number 2.
Yeah, I think they'll add at least 1, but I want them to add 2. That's my big thing. I think they need more than 1. Because if you're going into a playoff series right now, say you only add 1. Let's say it's Sandy Alcantara, because that's the big name that keeps getting tossed around. Let's say they add only Sandy Alcantara to this pitching rotation. So then it's what? It's Alcantara, probably Shota as your number 2, and then who as your number 3? Jamison Taillon? Are you putting Taillon in there? Are you putting Kate Horton in there? What is your? I don't like either of those options because Kate Horton struggles with the long ball so far in his career. That he's every outing, I think, except for 1, he's given up at least 1 or 2 home runs. You look at Jamison Taillon, who's now on the IL with a strained calf, but he gives up home run after home run as well. Like you can't go into October with that as your 1, 2, 3. If Shota's your 3, I'm more excited about looking at this Cubs roster heading into the playoffs than I am if Shota's a 1 or a 2.
Yeah, me too. I think that's a lot to ask, but
it's
either that or a guy who I think could close games or at least be your setup guy.
I think Daniel Palencia is your closer. I've seen enough from him so far that he throws 102. He hit 103 the other day.
Mr. Bobby Jenks.
Yeah.
Here's Bobby.
I mean, he could be, dude, and he's got really good stuff. His stuff plays in the ninth inning. I have no concerns if they move forward with him. If he loses if you lose in October because Daniel Palencia blows the game, I'll live with that. But I don't
think he'll live with that. I want to see. That remains to be seen.
I'll live with it as a decision. I mean, I'll be upset by it, but I'll live with it as the decision. Like as long as you're going out and you're getting 2 frontline starters and you're making the plays that you need to, I'm fine with Daniel Palencia being your closer moving forward the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. I just need a guy that's either going to pressure him or be a setup guy, which you could probably get for not a lot. I think you could do all 3 of those things.
Yeah.
Just don't think you need, I don't know if you need another, I don't think you need another bat. I mean, I don't think you really have to worry about that.
I think Eugenio Suarez makes a ton of sense for the Cubs. I really do.
You're going to lose a lot of prospects, but I mean, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely the time to do it. One of the other rumors that was out there that might not make Sox fans very happy.
Nick Madrigal?
No, is the Cubs going the Cubs going out and getting Joe Ryan and Johan Duran from the Twins and sending them Kevin Alcantara and Owen Casey and a couple of pitching prospects.
Oh. So the Twins can rebuild then.
Yeah. So I mean, Cubs fans, like if you're helping the Twins out for the future, I'm fine with it. Because of what you're getting in return. Joe Ryan's having a fantastic year. Johan Duran is a phenomenal back end of the bullpen type guy. Having him set up and having Palencia close or vice versa, whether he comes in to close and Palencia is the setup, I think that's a phenomenal 8-9 guy. And then you got Porter Hodge still sitting out there along with Brad Keller. I'd be stoked about something like that.
Stoked?
Yeah, stoked.
Yeah,
wearing palm trees on his shirt is going to talk about me saying the word stoked.
Stoked, man. Yeah, I could deal with that. And I see your point with 2 starters, but I think that's just going to be tough.
I don't think it is. I think the Cubs got enough in their minor league system to go and do it. Like I said, you would, in order to do it, you have to complete that.
Do you think Jed Hoyer's going to do that?
I think that if he's all in, he does. And I don't see why you wouldn't. Because the prospects you're giving up aren't going to be a part of your future anyway. So why not? Ben Brown's not a part of your future. He's already shown that he's not going to be maybe let him go. Maybe a change of scenery will do him good. Maybe he can pitch on a team like the Twins or something like that. But you go and you do what you need to do. Plus, I mean, all of the prospects that you have with Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara, a couple of others that I'm blanking on right now, but they've got the prospects out there to go and do
Corey Patterson,
Albert Elmora Jr. Lots of those types of guys.
Megan TV wants us to fight.
How about instead of fighting?
I'll get you. At least I can get you angry.
How about we just bring back everybody's favorite segment?
Which one is that? I'm gonna have to hear you say it.
It's Fitz Gibberish.
All right. It's a diatribe. It's a conspiracy theory, and it's an island in the middle of an unapologetic and sometimes inaccurate sports talk. I feel like we did pretty good today with our sports talk ramblings. For our 200th show.
200, baby.
Could have been inaccurate here or there. I don't know. Maybe Pete Crow Armstrong hit 50 home runs when you were in the minors. I didn't look it up. But anyway, the south side of Chicago is known for many things. To mention a few, there's a history of bad yet extensive meat processing, birthing mayors, contraband, long nights and short mornings, loyalty, hard work, heart, grit, murder, and drinking in garages. I've drank in a few garages with you, Cone. Yes, occasionally our houses are not big enough to contain all our large bodies and louder voices. So we must pour into our garages to enjoy our nights and sometimes middays on the south side. And on such a night in October of 2022, my big brother John and I were taking in a bad Monday night football game. Ooh, there's a lot of those. In his garage. I was half cocked and on my way to full on drunk. And I was at the time I was bitching about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, which is kind of like masturbating in front of someone with sandpaper while crying. While crying and sweating. You know, before the show, Combs did ask what Fitz Gibberish was going to be about specifically. And I said, is it ever about anything specific? He said, well, touche. I mentioned that I never started the podcast I always wanted to back in 2022. That got my big brother thinking, which demonstrably pained us both. He had an idea. Or he was very constipated. I wasn't sure. As he thought, though, he searchingly stuck his sausage link fingers into his long beard, no doubt looking for the rest of the beef sandwich he ate hours earlier.
Corey Morrison says some people prefer using sandpaper.
Hey, Corey. How you doing? Hope you're on the mend, buddy. But no! Like any great older brother, he wanted to fix the situation. And this time, it had nothing to do with taking an elephant-sized dump. He had met with someone who had wanted to start a podcast about Chicago sports just days earlier and would call him over that night if it was all right with me. After a long back and forth, that no doubt included loud voices that woke the neighbors, I demurred and allowed him to call said friend. Alas, just 15 minutes later, a man strolled in who looked and acted like the bad guy / assistant mayor / idiot Walter Peck, who opens the containment system, starting a catastrophic world-ending event in Ghostbusters. Only it wasn't Walter Peck. It was my partner, Brandon Combs. In Ghostbusters, Walter Peck was rumored to have no penis. But since Combs has 100 kids, I was going to have to take God's and nature's word for it that he was packing. He wasn't only packing that, but also a thermos filled with no doubt rum and some form of Coca-Cola / root beer. We talked for a while. And that's when I launched into the very first diatribe conspiracy and quite possibly an island in the middle of any knowledgeable or cogent sports talk or my philosophy on sports. No doubt I was 3 or 4 sheets to the wind at this point. Combs was itching for the door, but still something must have sunk in because he asked me, and it wasn't just a warm night, because he asked me to be a guest star on the first Man Hour show less than a week later. Not the other Man Hour show, the Chicago Man Hour show. When we were reminded that women also exist in sports, we quickly changed the show's name to Windy City Sports Talk with Combs and Fitz. That partnership has now spanned 200 shows. The man was on a lot of acid when he said, what a long, strange trip it's been. But he was also right. You see, life happens while you're making plans to do a show like this. There's not a day of the week we haven't done the show. We have done it in front of hundreds of people and in front of nobody and in front of one drunk who couldn't stand up straight. Yeah. We've done it hungover, drunk, blindfolded, burnt with hot sauce after 2 separate shifts at work with our kids and wholly heartbroken. Before getting all wispy and having a cry, which will be hard because I ran out of sandpaper. I'll just say this. There were times I didn't want to be here or really wasn't here at all. But mostly There was nowhere else in the world I'd rather be. Thank you all for sharing, subscribing, and being nonstop fans of the show these last 200 shows. It meant the world to us. I needed it more than you, and the best is yet to come. And thank you, Mr. Combs, for being the best co-host a certifiable psychopath could ask for. One of the steadiest and positive thinkers I have ever met, and most of all, friend. Although you could have picked a better time to start a podcast. like not when the big four male sports teams in Chicago haven't been to the playoffs in 4 years. And that's Fitz gibberish. Combs.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. It might be your best one yet, mostly because you talk about me.
At one point in there.
Yeah, no, it's look, man, it's been a fantastic journey. That was a really good one. You're right though, man. Your brother, I called him. We had gone to the Notre Dame game the week prior, in which I should have been my first time because they lost to Marshall that day.
I remember that game.
And it was my first time at Notre Dame. Me and him talked a ton of Chicago sports back and forth. He seemed pretty knowledgeable. And little did I know that he's not very knowledgeable. And so when I asked if he wanted to do a podcast and told me, hey, no, but my brother might want to do it. I was like, all right, why not? I asked Michelle if she knew who you were. She was like, yeah, seems like a good guy. She's like, I met him a few times. So there we are. And then we did a show, and then we did another one and another one.
It just kept coming back.
And now it's 200, man. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else either. There's been a lot of stuff, like you said, that we've gone through. We've gone through deaths in the family. We've gone through some hardships and some things that, we wouldn't wish on anybody else to go through. But we always manage to find a way. Hey, we might need to take a week or two off, but we'll get back to it, because in the long run, this is kind of our safe haven. This is what gets us through. Like, all right, this sucks, but hey, at least I get to do the show on Sunday or Thursday or Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever we decide to do it. I'm pretty sure we've done it at least once on every day of the week.
Yes.
And sometimes we've done multiple shows in a week.
Oh yeah, many times.
So it's been fun, man. And like you said, I've gained a friend out of it. You're one of my very best friends, one of the only few people I still talk to outside of my family. And so yeah, man, I wouldn't want to go through it with anybody else either. Once we hit 500, that's
when it really is going to start to turn.
That's when we're gonna be like, wow, 500 episodes and we're still not syndicated. Okay.
Yeah, all right. I'll see you guys there.
Doubting Thomas right now.
Yes. So yeah, no, man, it's been fun. It's been good. Great stuff on the Fitz gibberish.
Thank you.
Did it again.
Thank you.
Now your niece can stop yelling at me.
Yeah.
As she told me the other day, she's like, I don't always get to watch, but when I do, I'll fast forward straight to Fitz gibberish. And I'm like, oh,
you're like,
you talk at all. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. I give you no joy. That's awesome. Great. But yeah, no, man, I can't wait. And look, I think we're gonna get a really good football season for once. I think we're
Speaking, if you want to touch on the Bears before we're done, we can.
Let's do it. Let's talk Bears, because I mean,
so Chase Claypool is saying that the Bears didn't utilize him well. That just came out. That just came out. I don't think that was a thing. And one really interesting piece of news. I don't know, and I've heard this from a couple different places. It's the only reason why I'm talking about it. Bears going after Matthew Judon. Is that even a thing?
I don't know. I've heard the rumors. I've asked a couple people. I haven't really gotten a straight answer. So I don't know.
43.5 sacks over a 4-year span.
I would love to see it. I mean, I don't know what it's going to cost you.
30? He's 30 now, or close, pushing 30.
What would you give? What would you give up to get him? You know what I mean? Like, what does it cost you to get a Matthew Judon? Because you would have to trade for him, right? He's not a free agent.
I thought he was to the Bears.
Is he a free agent?
There are few of free agents, two of whom are Albert Breer to the Chicago. I thought he was a free.
No, he is a free agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's 33, so that's why he hasn't been talked about a lot. But
I mean, the other rumor is that if they don't get him, the Vikings are. So why would you let the other team in the division go get him, especially when you still got money that you can spend?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be a long contract, so you don't have to worry about it butting up against Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is your guy. Caleb Williams QB contract, which is, if he's really good, is going to be gigantic.
Yeah. You go 2 years or 3 years with Judon at the most.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want an edge rusher past 36.
Right.
But if he can give you 10 sacks and be over there as basically just an edge rusher, I don't think he's going to be doing a lot of run protection. Jesus Christ. He's not going to be on running downs. He's not going to be on the field. I wouldn't think so any longer.
Yeah.
He was never a really big end anyway. But
no, he played a lot of linebacker though.
Yeah, he did. You know, might still have some speed to go out on routes. Those intermediate routes.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a ton of sense. To go and get him, and I don't know how true the rumors are. But the rumor is that the from what I heard, the two teams in on him are the Bears and the Vikings. So we'll see. I mean, that'd be a nice little splash to go and add Matthew Judon. I mean, I'd get pretty excited about that move for sure. Because, I mean, on the edge, you're looking at Montez Sweat, who you don't know if he can stay healthy at this point. So, it's a good backup plan if he does go down.
He was definitely hurt last season. He didn't miss a lot of games, but he was hurt at the end of that season last season.
And then you got Odeyingbo, and then you've got Austin Booker as well, who kind of surprised everybody last year. Who's very lengthy. Your Austin Booker reminds me of is Jason God, I'm gonna forget his last name. Jason Taylor. He's very long and lengthy like that.
Or like a Mark Anderson. Remember him from it's like 15 years ago now. When he came in was not a lot of people didn't think he'd be that great, kind of a slight defensive end, and end up having over 10 sacks in one of those seasons there.
But if it means that you can keep Montez Sweat healthy and Odeyingbo healthy just by being able to spell these guys, and you get to spell them with Matthew Judon, I mean, it creates a lot of buzz.
Is John tired, or is he?
He doesn't like the Matthew Judon stuff. He doesn't want Matthew Judon. See, this is why I couldn't do a show with him, because he would be like, "Oh, Matthew Judon," and he would just complain about everything.
I mean, he's a viable candidate. They do. I always thought they needed another edge rusher on this team, and he might be perfect because you do have a guy who can play on rundowns on both sides of your ends, and then he comes in on third down fresh.
Yeah,
or long second downs fresh, and even some fourth downs. Yeah, I mean, Downing Thomas still all in on Caleb Williams. We have our next report on Caleb Williams that he's not accountable now.
I think that
ridiculous with some of these news reports.
Yeah, there's always going to be something.
An article that said, I don't know if you saw this ESPN article where they went quarterback for quarterback, who their floor and who their ceiling would be. Did you see this article?
I did not.
So I can look it up. We can have the production staff look it up. But they said They didn't even have a floor for him. They had a floor for every other like rookie QB from last year or young QB. His ceiling was Jordan Love. His ceiling in this article was Caleb Williams' ceiling was Jordan Love. And you know that I don't really have a disdain for Jordan Love. I just have a disdain for people who think he's going to be like some top 5 quarterback. That's never happening.
Yeah.
He is never going to be a top 5 quarterback in this league. Something catastrophic would have to happen to like, Patrick Mahomes, there'd have to be like 5 quarterbacks get hurt.
If his ceiling is Jordan Love, the Bears grossly missed at number 1.
Yes. That would be. Oh, and his floor was bust, which it's like if you're Jordan Love, you are a bust at a pick.
At number 1, yeah.
That season in that draft too, where the first 17 guys or 16 guys taken were offensive players. How many quarterbacks were taken in the first 15 picks, 20 picks?
I think 4.
That was a heavy quarterback draft, and you were the first one taken, and you're Jordan Love, a guy who has not gotten any better, is going into his 6th season, was worse last year than he was the season prior.
Yeah.
As an offensive-minded coach, pretty damn good offensive-minded coach, has had pretty good lines in almost every pretty good offensive lines. You're going to be Jordan Love? I don't know.
Yeah, I disagree. There's a lot of things that ESPN puts out there that I disagree with. Hell, even as early as this morning with their post on Bobby Jenks, where they said Bobby Jenks, who was on the roster for the 2005 World Champion Chicago White Sox, on the roster. He closed the damn game.
He was on the roster.
He was on the just making it like, oh, he was just a guy who was on the roster. He rode the bus with him. He was the closer.
Yeah.
And one of the best World Series runs of all time.
Yeah, and was one of by the end of the year was one of the best closers in the game, and was one of the best closers in the game for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. So it's just there's a lot of stuff ESPN puts out. ESPN's gone downhill quite a bit with some of their reporters, some of their takes. It's been interesting to watch some of the things that they've allowed to go through, they've allowed to put out. That you never thought that ESPN would be putting out this type of content. It's just there's still a lot for Caleb Williams to prove. There's no doubt. There's still a ton for Caleb Williams to prove. He is not a proven quarterback as of yet. He's not even on. He wasn't even put on the level of Jaden Daniels last year, even though I think that realistically they had the same season, and I'll argue that with anybody, and I have argued it with anybody. There was so much last year that you have to give it another year, maybe 2, to see, all right, what is this kid really, right? So I will say there is a ton to prove. And they're right, his floor is bust, because that's, you're either going to be great or you're going to be a bust. I don't really think that there's, there could be an in between, I guess, if you're talking about like Carson Palmer or something like that, then maybe there's that in between. But to me, if you're taking that number 1 and you're not a franchise quarterback for 10 to 15 years, then you're a bust. It was a bad pick. So I think his ceiling, if I were to give him a ceiling myself, I would put his ceiling probably closer to I wouldn't say Patrick Mahomes, but I would probably go his ceiling is probably Joe Burrow. Because I think he can be that type of passer. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's just not. I think people thought he was going to be, but he's not. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's a pocket passer.
A little bit.
He's a traditional pocket passer.
Yeah, he is, but he can move a little bit. He can move better. Like, he's not some of the guys that were in his the guy from Denver, your boy
for Fields, I guess.
Nice.
The excuses for Fields was always the same one that I still have that I just gave you for Caleb Williams. Coaching. The coaching was so bad, you have to wait and see. Same thing with Fields. I still think you need to see
a
his
record.
He was 4-2 last year with the Steelers before they went to Russell Wilson inexplicably, and they were scoring more points with Justin Fields.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with me and the same problem I had with Justin Fields is you couldn't even look at him and really say, is that a good quarterback or is that you couldn't even evaluate him. You couldn't really evaluate Caleb Williams. You lost a year with the guy when you didn't have to. You could have just hired Ben Johnson last year. Why you didn't, I still don't know why you didn't. It's complete blunder. It's the worst blunder in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
Setting up teams and getting teams ready to play and whatever. The worst blunder was not hiring Ben Johnson or any other coach in the league, in the universe, to coach this kid. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But
no, I agree. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the same excuses for Justin Fields are the same excuse. It's just been so abysmal with coaching. And I think that's another thing right now. Like, I think that they got it right with Ben Johnson? Absolutely. Do I think this was the right hire? Absolutely. But we don't know what Ben Johnson's going to be as a head coach yet. There's been plenty of offensive coordinators who were really good offensive coordinators. Look at Josh McDaniels.
Look at Matt Nagy.
Well, yeah. Well, Matt Nagy wasn't even a great coordinator, though.
No,
but Josh McDaniels is a fantastic coordinator.
Yeah.
Great coordinator, but he was a terrible head coach. So is there a possibility that Ben Johnson is Josh McDaniels? Absolutely. But is there a possibility that he's Sean McVay? Absolutely. We just have to see it play out on the field, not on paper.
Yeah.
You know, I asked the question today. If anybody listened to I tweeted it out to BetMGM tonight, or not BetMGM tonight, Sunday's bets on the BetMGM network. I asked the question: is Bryce Young's career? Will Bryce Young have a better career than Trevor Lawrence? And then somebody brought up, well, will he have a better career than Caleb Williams? And it's possible. But I think that the trajectory is different, right? Like, I think you still have more hope for Caleb Williams than you do for a guy like Trevor Lawrence, because I think Trevor Lawrence at this point has shown you what he is.
Come on. I mean, this is the same people who are like, yes, I was right about Justin Fields and are clapping and putting the hand, patting themselves on the back, are like, these were the same douchebags who thought Trevor Lawrence was good when he wasn't. He was on a couple of pretty decent teams too.
Yeah.
He wasn't on teams that were 4-13 and were actually better than they ever would have been with him on the field.
And that's why when you come to college quarterbacks, you have to take a step back too and think, or college players in general. Like, same thing with Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty right now in fantasy football is rated as the 4th best running back in fantasy football. He's he's RB4 in fantasy football. This is a guy who tore up the Mountain West Conference in football.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he was, and even if he was tearing up the SEC and the Big Ten, yes, sure, it would hold a little bit more weight, but it's not the NFL.
I think his ceiling is Reggie Bush, isn't it? Like, in Reggie Bush, yes. Reggie Bush is
Adrian Peterson. His ceiling. Like, if he achieves what they think he can, he's Adrian Peterson.
Peterson was an absolute beast.
But that's what they think. That's what I'm saying. By ceiling. Well, how do you feel? Like,
that's like saying Ben Johnson and Matt Nagy are the same coach, which I'll agree, Doubting Thomas. That was a terrible comparison. But how bad are the Bears at picking coaches that Matt Nagy was actually picked as a coach?
But what I'm saying is, when you're looking at a ceiling, like, what do you say the ceiling? What people are expecting of him? Is that the ceiling? Like, before he's ever played a down in the NFL?
I think his ceiling is Alvin Kamara or Reggie Bush, which Alvin Kamara I would actually put ahead of Reggie Bush.
Right.
I know Reggie
what
Bush
you're
had some terrific seasons, but he wasn't that great in the
But
beginning.
what should you rate a person's ceiling before they've played it down? You rate their ceiling
I
as
look
what
at the player and what I think the player is. I look at what I think he
Okay.
could be.
Well,
I
what
don't
most people in
Adrian
NFL circles think his ceiling though is Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson returned kickoffs, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. And was receiving and running guys over and running past them.
I'm not telling you that he's going to be that. I don't think he's going to be that either.
I don't think that's his ceiling.
But that's what people think his ceiling is. That's what he's been touted as. He's been touted as Adrian Peterson.
You think his ceiling is Barry Sanders?
No, I actually think that his ceiling is oh God, I'm gonna forget the name now. I said it earlier. The guy who played for the Patriots and caught a lot of passes out of the backfield. God, what the hell was his name? Played for the Cincinnati Bengals too. Corey Dillon.
Corey Dillon. It's on the tip of my.
I think his ceiling is Corey Dillon. If you're asking me, his ceiling is Corey Dillon, and his floor is obvious. The floor is always bust.
That's
when
not
it
a
comes
bad
to
career. That makes sense to me. Yes, that makes sense to me. I just think he's going to be more of a weapon, catching balls out of the backfield. I just don't think he's going to be. Combs would draft. You could put it up there if you like. Combs would draft one of his ex-wives before a running back.
Technically, he's not wrong because I would never draft a running back in the first round, but I would never draft one of those. I'll be nice. One of those women either. I drafted him once. I don't need him again. Didn't work out so well the first. Liar! No, definitely not lying.
I'd pay the Chris Farley liar scene, but that guy was kicked off YouTube if you didn't notice.
It did. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah. We can't play. I do this thing where I play our show at the school and I play it and I'm like, why haven't the last 2 episodes shown up? And I'm like, oh.
Technically, this is 198.
Hey. Technically, if you go back to look them up, you probably only find like 190 of them because there have been other episodes that have been kicked off too.
Yes,
for content. So, but whatever, we're gonna continue to play it. Kick us off all you want.
Yeah,
whatever.
Rebels.
You're not paying us to do this.
You start paying us.
Yeah, pay us to do it. You can tell us to do whatever the hell we want to do. Anyway, all right. Well, the White Sox look up 3-2.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, they've come back a little bit. Andrew Benintendi now batting in the 5th inning. So hopefully they can hang on, complete this sweep. Cubs will take on the St. Louis Cardinals here at about, I think, 5 o'clock. Weird first pitch. Really weird baseball schedule because usually Sunday Night Baseball is the last game of a Sunday, and they don't play anything after that because it's getaway day. There's 2 Sunday Night Baseball games. Cubs play one at 5. Then there's another one at 8.
Yeah.
And then there's some random game that's not even on television being played at 9 o'clock tonight. I think it's the Giants and the A's at 9 o'clock.
Like, what?
Yeah. It's really weird. But the Cubs are playing at 5 tonight. Against the Cardinals, looking to take 2 out of 3. Would be nice to see them, put the Cardinals in the rear view a little bit. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I don't know what the I'm gonna
bet on them. Are we gonna get a live bet?
I do have a bet on them tonight. I have my bet was PCA to hit a home run, the over 7.5, and the Cubs on the money line. That was my bet. I think it was like plus 1,100 if you parlay it, and that's what I did. And right now the Brewers are. Where are the Brewers at? Oh, maybe their game's already over. The Brewers won 3-1 over the Marlins. And the Reds lost today. So the Cubs could gain a game on the Reds, put them 8.5 back, gain a game on the Cardinals, put them 7.5 back, and maintain pace at 5.5 over the Boston or the Milwaukee Brewers. So, or I'm sorry, 3.5.
I don't know how they lose this division, but think I might have said that in 23.
Yeah. I think a lot of us said that in 23. But it is what it is. Somebody check on Jeremiah, says Doubting Thomas. Yeah, I know he hasn't been on. Is he Doubting Thomas? Did you forget to turn off the water in the tub?
Yes.
Did you drown Jeremiah?
Yeah. Is
Ryan growing up here? Trying?
I could if I want to.
5 o'clock shadow.
Whatever.
Are you gonna try to grow like one of those long ones?
Yeah, that just
One that you can save food in for later.
So when I'm thinking, I could be like, yeah. Pete Crow Armstrong never hit more than 20 home runs in the minors. I think that's right.
We got Doubting Thomas to laugh.
He just laughs through text. He doesn't really laugh. He's not really laughing out loud.
He's a serial
Anybody
killer.
say, this is a good point to end the show with. Does anybody actually laugh out loud when they say LOL on a text?
Sometimes. There have been times where a text has made me LOL.
And you said LOL on the text? You texted back?
Yep.
I don't believe you.
Usually I'll tell people though. I'll be like, that literally made me LOL.
I don't believe you.
I've done it. Because there have been times, there are times where people say something like, I've got friends with some weird senses of humor that sometimes they'll say something and I'm like, holy shit, and it makes me laugh out loud. Just, just funny. Like, have you seen those new viral AI gorilla TikToks?
There's some of them.
Dude, they are hilarious. Like, they got the kid with Down syndrome who they call Downsy.
I love that AI is getting the memo, the internet memo. It's starting to get the memo that we're a terrible race of people. And if you get in on the joke, I saw the most Mexican man in the world. They did like a most Mexican man in the world, who says he hates America while he eats flaming hot Cheetos with a Los Angeles Dodgers hat on.
They also had one where he got pulled over and they asked him if he had anything illegal in the car, and he looked at the guy next to him wearing a sombrero. It's just, they do some wild things, man. It's pretty funny. They had Downsy jump off a cliff because he told him a unicorn would catch him and grant him a wish. So Downsy did, and then when the unicorn caught him, he's like, I didn't expect that to happen. And then Downsy wished for a bag full of cocaine. Instead, he's like, he should have asked him for that to take away a chromosome. I was like, oh my God. It's wild, some of the stuff that they say. But it's just like, I have that sense of humor. Like I definitely run on the dark sense of humor side of things. So there have definitely been some times where some of my friends have texted me. I'm like, holy cow. Makes me laugh out loud. Like when you text me and ask me when's the next episode.
Oh, really? I say I'm going to burn your house to the ground.
Yeah. You have texted me that quite a few times, actually. Quite a few times. But no, man, it's been fun. 200 episodes in the books.
Woo!
Only, forever to go. That's how we're gonna do it. Why stop when we can just keep doing it?
Yes. Right.
So let's just keep doing it. All right. You ready to get out of here?
Even if Jeremiah is dead. Yes, let's go.
All right. This has been Combs and Fitz. We will be back next Sunday, probably around the same time. Maybe. We'll see. Actually, no, not next Sunday. I already lied to you, because next Sunday I'll be in Nashville covering UFC. So, until the next time we can grace.
Maybe I'll get some
for episode 201. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your neighbors. See you later.